Hey everyone, it's Brian from Exact IT and Cybersecurity. Welcome back to the channel. This channel is here to help you better understand cybersecurity, what's in the news, trends, tips, ways to protect yourself, and ways to keep you and your business safe. Today we're going to talk about a massive data breach, a topic that is spreading across the internet like crazy, has almost every American that knows about it concerned. And that is the massive data breach that has exposed the Social Security numbers of potentially every American in the United States. This could be one of the biggest breaches in the history of the internet. So remember to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel if you want to be notified when I put out more content like that. Like this, hit the notification bell. I'm having a little trouble talking today. So what happened? What's going on out there? How do we know that all of these Social Security numbers have potentially been exposed? Well, there's the thing called the dark web, which I have plenty of videos that I talk about the dark web on this channel, and you can check those out. But a major hacking group has reportedly leaked 2.7 billion records, including Social Security numbers, addresses, and more sensitive information. This breach is considered one of the most significant in the recent history of the internet due to the scale and sensitivity of the data that has been exposed. The data has been reported that it was originally stolen in April 2024, with the full data set being leaked online in August of 2024. The situation has developed over several months, culminating in this major release, which I've talked about on this channel and my Security Squawk podcast for a long time now. I've been mentioning this for years, that everybody has been kind of numb to these cyber attacks. They believe that nothing happens when these cyber attacks occur. And I've been saying and warning everybody for months now that I'm seeing activity on the dark web that shows me that cyber criminals are working hard to compile this data and figure out how they can use it and monetize it against people, whether they can sell that to other criminals and scammers, or whether they can do something directly to you that involves things like extortion, blackmail, to play on the psyche of victims and get them to fork over cash based on some threat that was thrown their way, whether it be the release of that information or some other scam or trick that these guys have up their sleeves in order to get victims to pay what they're demanding. These guys usually, come at people with threats that we have all this information and we're going to give it to people that you don't want to have it. That's kind of the crux of how these guys use this information to make money. But what I'm trying to say here is that this has been going on for a very long time. Massive companies have been hit. Millions and millions of records have poured into the dark web, into various places, in the databases. And I'm like, people, what do you think? They're just going to sit here and let this information just sit there and not do anything with it? No, they have guys working day and night trying to figure out how to correlate, compile, figure out how to take all these hacks that have happened against businesses, all this information that's been dumped on the dark web over the years. How do we take all that? How do we correlate that? How do we figure out how this information is tied to one individual, and how do we start using that to make money and scam people and do other things against people? Well, I believe that this is the beginning of that here. We're starting to see a picture of what it's going to look like when identity theft really takes hold because of all these data breaches that these companies have experienced over the years. So who did this hack? Why did they do it, right? So the hacking group USDoD is behind this breach. Interesting name. They started targeting the National Public Data, a company that collects and sells personal information for background checks and other uses. Jeez. This group initially tried to sell the data for $3.5 million before portions were leaked. And this seems to be a growing trend. We just saw this with the city of Columbus, where their mayor came out and was basically like, hey, all the data that they got was encrypted. And I came out on my podcast and I said, so what? That data can eventually be decrypted. And this mayor came out and kind of was like, haha, like, we got you. All of our data was encrypted. No, dude, like, that's the wrong answer. You can't be acting like that because that data can be decrypted. It's out there. So let's not act like this is a nothing burger, because that's what he was trying to do. We're going to see incidents like Columbus, incidents like this National Public Data Company, and all these hospitals, all these businesses that have their employee information stolen, ripe with pictures of licenses, passports, passport numbers, driver's license numbers. I mean, you should see the stuff that's on the dark web that's probably about you. Don't be surprised if you've given your passport to your employer or your license to your employer and they were hacked. Your picture, your license is probably on the dark web, and I could probably go find it for you. But at the end of the day, it's there. I mean, I was just looking at dark web leak sites the other day, and the amount of passports that I could see from individuals was pretty wild. I mean, it's really bad what's out there, folks. And these groups try to sell this information at first, but there's really not a market for it because nobody's paying for this stuff, because it's kind of like what's going on out there with adult material. Let's put it that way. Like, you used to have to pay for it and now you don't. Well, there's so much out there that nobody's willing to pay for it, folks. That's how bad it is out there, and it's going to be used against you one day. So these cyber criminals try to sell it. They don't sell it, so they release it for free, and they just say to the criminal community, go ahead, do what you want with it. This is why we're starting to see all the people that are impacted, and I'm going to talk about who's impacted here in a second, but all the people that are impacted are basically being told, go freeze your credit. Well, I've been on this channel and I've been on my podcast, Security Squawk, for a long time saying everybody's credit should be freezed by default. The fact that you have to go in and freeze it yourself, that needs to change. These credit reporting bureaus and the places you can go to freeze your credit, that should be the default at this point, in my opinion. Turn it off, and then you explicitly need to go in and turn it on when you're actively looking for credit. I don't look for credit every single day. I don't need my credit report open, available to check all the time. And if that's the mechanism we have in place right now, so cyber criminals can't open accounts on using my good name and my good credit status, then so be it. That's how it has to be. But we need to be able to have these things locked for the people that don't know about this stuff, the people that aren't aware about this stuff. They're the ones who become the victims because they're clueless that this stuff is even going on, that these criminals even have this information and can do what they can do. I've warned people. We've seen it. Criminals have enough information now where we've seen people wire money right out of people's bank accounts because they had the right information to be able to do so. And people are like, what is that? My money's gone. Yeah, it happens. So watch out. So who's impacted here? Potentially every single American Social Security numbers, alive and dead ones, names and addresses are in this breach. This puts nearly everyone in the U.S. at risk for identity theft and fraud. And we see companies already coming out trying to make money off of this. There's a big question out there whether this one site, and I don't even know if I want to mention them on the show, but they already have a website set up where you can check to see if you're part of this database. You are, right? All you're doing is, giving this company a little bit more information. And then when you put your information in, they say, oh, your information was exposed, sign up for our service. So they're really, providing a free service to sell you their services. And at the end of the day, you don't need to go to a site like pentester.com. There's other sites like Have I Been Pawned and other places to go that don't do what these sites do to try to sell you things on the back end after you search for your stuff and see that it's there. I guarantee you that it's there. So before we dive into how this happened and where this information, how this company got hacked in the first place, if you're looking to strengthen your cybersecurity knowledge, whether you're an IT professional or a business owner, and you want to protect your business or the business you work at from devastating attacks like the one I'm talking about today, check out my Defend Your Business coaching program. For just $19 a month, I'm working with a small group of people, and I'm going to raise this price as we create the content. We've already started, so it won't be long before we start raising the price on this thing. We're going to raise it eventually to $99 a month, so you're getting it super cheap right now. So I highly advise you to sign up now if you're interested. I'm basically giving it away, and you're never going to see this price before. Again, you'll gain insights and strategies on how to safeguard your operations. There's links in the description. So like I said, if you're an IT professional, I'm going to show you how to use your skills to sell cybersecurity to your leaders. And if you're a business owner, business leader, running a small business, I'm going to consult with you and educate you on what you need to be doing in your business. And a lot of these things you can probably do on your own if that's what you're interested in doing and not hiring an outside company. That's who this is for. You might not be ready for an outside company, or you might not think you are, but you know you need to do something. This is perfect for a business owner like you. So how did this happen? Let's talk about that. By the way, links are in the description. Hackers exploited vulnerabilities, we talk about this all the time too, in the national public data systems to scrape and steal this information. So essentially their servers, their computers had vulnerabilities that hackers were able to take advantage of. Vulnerabilities shouldn't exist if you have a robust cybersecurity program, or they shouldn't exist for very long. Unfortunately, when we evaluate companies and their cybersecurity postures, what we see here at Exact when we evaluate them is that they don't have a real good strategy around vulnerability management. Well, guess what? Somewhere in this video, I'm gonna have a video linked by my team that is on vulnerability management. I've done a whole video on it and why you should be doing it and how to best do it effectively. So check that out as well. There's tons of resources on this channel. Who knew? After trying to sell the data, the group hackers released it on a public forum and made it widely accessible to everybody, which is kind of what happens nowadays. I don't see a lot of companies paying, or a lot of criminals paying a lot of money for this information, and it remains to be seen what happens as they release this for free. But I can tell you they're doing it to create a lot of damage and to get attention of a lot of people. So why did this happen? Why would a hacking group hack a company, put it on the dark web for sale, try to sell it for millions of dollars and do so unsuccessfully, and then just decide to release it to the public? Why would they do something like that? It just sounds kind of stupid. The primary motivation is financial gain. There will be financial gain from this. The hackers initially seeking to sell the data for millions will release pieces of it and let people know that they have more. That's potentially what could happen here. There's also other ways that this group can monetize this information, selling it to other smaller groups, selling more specific information. But a lot of times, you know, it's a criminal enterprise, right? So you don't know if you're getting good data or not. This also helps prove that they have good data. What they have was probably worth $3.5 million to somebody. And maybe they just released enough to prove that, and they will, you know, eventually get that money. They might have to sell pieces of it for 100,000 here, 10,000 there, but eventually they will get millions and millions of dollars for what they have. The leak likely occurred because the data didn't sell for the desired price, so they're going to figure out other ways to slice and dice and monetize this information. Plus, the criminals that use this information to take advantage of other victims, there could also be some kind of an affiliate payment system put in place as a result of this. So what do you do? What do you do if your information's out there? What if you're a victim and you find out your information is part of this data set, and you could potentially be victimized by these cyber criminals scouring through this data? Well, I can tell you this, it's going to take them a while to hit everybody. It's a lot of people. They're probably going to target certain people that are high profile, that they know that they can get to, that they know have good credit, have lots of money, and do things like that and do some heavy research. But with things like AI, this is becoming a lot easier to pour through this information and identify these people. You want to act quick here. You want to make sure that you do things like have that credit freeze on, like I talked about. Make sure nobody can access your credit report right now. Monitor your health information, your health insurance. Make sure nobody's using it. These are the scams I'm telling you that we see as a result of what's going on the dark web, right? Number one thing is they go after your credit. They try to open up bank accounts or credit cards or lines of credit in your name. The second thing that we see that's most common is they try to use your health insurance for certain things. They can scam the health insurance system, pretending to be you if they have enough information. The other thing we see people done with this information are things like stupid things like applying for unemployment in your name because they have the information. We've also seen it where they've been able to have enough information about your bank accounts and things like that where they're able to initiate things like an ACH withdrawal. So make sure you're checking your bank accounts and you have fraud measures put in place at your bank. So if certain things occur, your bank stops the transactions. These are all things that you should be talking to your bankers about, especially if you have lots of money in the bank. The FDIC does not cover any of this, right? You need to have your own business insurance to cover wire transfer, crimes. FDIC doesn't insure you when your bank account gets fleeced by a cyber criminal because they had the right information to withdraw funds out of your account. And these are things that we're seeing happen on a regular basis because of the information that businesses are not protecting that end up on the dark web. And this is the result of what we see. It's not the businesses who end up being the real victims. It's their customers and their employees. So let's talk about that. The credit freeze, monitor accounts, be vigilant, make sure you're also paying attention to the emails and text messages you receive, and understand that hackers can use your information and send you well-crafted messages that look legit, that seem legit around this event or something that they know that you're doing. If they have information like who you're doing business with, they can craft emails from that company, from that person, text messages from that company, from that person with links to try to get you to click on that could have malware behind it. It could be info stealing websites set up behind those links. You just never know. So be vigilant on what you click on and what you receive. And I would always take the proactive measure of going to the company's website, finding their phone number and calling their phone number yourself and talking to someone that way versus responding to something somebody sent you through clicking on a link or something like that, or calling a number from something that was sent to you. Go on their website, find their number and call the number that's on their website. And then other things that you can do to protect yourself that I mention all the time, setting up two-factor across all your accounts so you make it harder for cyber criminals to get in if they can guess your password. Or think about it this way. What if they call a company that you do business with and they have enough information about you where they can get your password reset, right? Multi-factor authentication could prevent that password reset from even being successful because they don't have that two-factor code that you put in place. Password management is critical here, right? Using a password manager and making sure that you are using unique passwords across all the things that you log into is important. That's why password managers exist. They make it really easy for you to do that. They integrate with your software, with your browsers. So no matter what you have to log into, it can be stored in this secure software and allow you to use a different password for everything that you log into. And you're also not writing your passwords down and remembering them and things like that. So let's wrap up this video. The biggest hack in potentially US history. Stay informed. Subscribe to this channel. Learn when things like this happen. Learn when your information is exposed. This is what we call threat intelligence, right? Threat intelligence is important. It's critical to know when things are happening, what's happening, and how to react to them. So make sure you have some source of this kind of information. My channel is a great source for that. So appreciate the support. Hit the subscribe. Check out the links down below. There's tons of them, different resources for you to check out based on any problem you might have around cybersecurity. We have different coaching resources, different ways that you can get in touch with our team to get help with this stuff. So check out the links below in the description. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next video.